Grand rising, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay. Hope everything is going well and your day is going as planned. This is Denzamus, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empires free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality. I talk about personal and self development. And if that's what resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share this video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. How do you know that you are about to break a cycle? Now, my chosen ones, you need to understand cycles are things that keep us trapped in some kind of a loop. Now, the very first step to breaking a cycle is to first of all get an awareness of what the cycle is. I'm going to repeat this for you one more time. The very first way to break a cycle is first of all by getting the general awareness of what the cycle is. There is very many people who don't even know that they're trapped in a cycle. Now, post-awakening, one of the things I realized, one of the cycles among others, one of the cycles I realized was the cycle of repeated toxic and abusive relationships. I would now walk back in time and I would remember that this was something that has been happening for so many years. It's just because I was not too awakened to understand what it was. So it was a repeated cycle where I would get into a relationship, very bad abusive relationship. I would end that at some point, get into the next one, repeat, leave that one, get into the next one, repeat. And that was a cycle that has been going on for the longest period of time. Again, I've told you, amongst others, a couple of them that I was awakened to. Now, for me, when I became aware of this cycle of attracting toxic and abusive people, relationships, that is when I said, okay, now it is time for me to put my foot, to put the brakes on this dating scene so I could be able to understand on my own why was I attracting broken, toxic people, what the problem was it something to do with me, was there anything I needed to understand about myself? That is when I put the brakes on the pads and I stopped that dating thing. Now, I had to go within, figure it out on my own, and eventually I was able to break out of that cycle permanently. I still get out of a few challenges here and there, but I can deal with it. It's no longer a problem. During that process of breaking the cycle, why am I giving you this example? Because you may have to put this in your own position to see how your life has been, and you may try to make sense of it. Now, in the time when I stopped this whole dating thing and stuff like that, when I was trying to figure out myself to see where I needed to go and how I would end this cycle of abuse and stuff like that, that is when I started to see the moments where I was hit the most by these particular Jezebels I was trying to break away from. I'd been running into Jezebels for quite a good number of years. Like I've told you, it was a cycle, a repeated cycle of narcissists after narcissists. And then eventually I was aware of it. I stopped dating. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Those next days, or I could say a couple of weeks, I would run into the next one. Okay, oh, you know, this and this, we can date or stuff like that. I was like, no. At a closer look, I would just recognize it was the similar energy that was actually following me for a good number of years. But this time, because I had gotten a general awareness of what it was, I had the courage to say no. Okay, that time I was now doing the healing work. So I was like, okay, I'm not ready for a relationship or whatever. And sometimes when you say no to a Jezebel is going to get very aggressive with you, and they're going to start pouring all this rubbish onto you because you have rejected the Jezebel. A Jezebel cannot deal with rejection. Now, I've just told you the cycle that was involving relationships, but in your case, it can be a different cycle. You could have been in a cycle of drug abuse. You could have been a cycle of alcoholism. It could have been a cycle of rejection. It could have been a cycle of anything. The cycles are many. The cycles are there just to trap us in a loop, so we can never be able to achieve our greatest potential. Walk in a loop and run in a loop, go from the beginning to the end and repeat, go in cycles like that. So basically, that is what they call a cycle. A cycle is there to stop you. The enemy is using these cycles to stop you and to block you from reaching your greatest potential. Now, like I've said, you only need the awareness, you need the awakening, enlightenment to understand what exactly has been happening. Because one of the things that will happen, you might have done drugs for years. You couldn't have been aware that you was in a cycle of drug abuse, or you was in a cycle of alcohol abuse or stuff like that, or sometimes relationship abuse. You could have not been aware. Like I've told you, for me, it was a number of years. I wasn't aware of who Jezebel was or who narcissist was. I became aware of this whole thing, and eventually I was able to break out of it. When you are coming to the end of a cycle, number one, you're going to go through an awakening. That awakening is going to be the breaking point where you're going to feel like you have been trapped in a very difficult cycle. It is going to overwhelm you. You'll be able to sit down and figure out things on your own, and you'll understand what exactly has been stopping you from progressing in life and what has been holding you back from achieving your biggest potential. Now, if it has been, for example, a cycle of alcohol abuse, you're going to become aware of that alcohol abuse. And what is really going to happen is that you are now going to start taking the little steps. Everything starts with the little steps. Personally, I did not get any help from anyone at the time, just because I couldn't trust anybody. I could just think maybe I would run into another narcissist who I would find in a clinic or a hospital or a therapist or stuff like that. So I did not trust anyone. I decided to do the healing work on my own. But when it's alcohol abuse, like drug abuse or something like that, you're trying to break out of that cycle, the very first thing you're going to become aware of it, and you're going to start taking the steps necessary to move towards the right direction to heal yourself. Like I've said, you may be a person who may go join some community groups. Maybe there are some community groups in your area where they are dealing with alcoholics, or where they are, helping people who are into drug abuse, or maybe it's a rehabilitation facility or something or stuff like that. You're going to start taking the steps to go into rehabilitation. But normally what really happens is that it is going to be like you will be sometimes maybe a couple of weeks, or it could be a couple of months when you have been into that rehabilitation facility, and you are going to be hit the most. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're breaking a cycle, remember that these are demonic cycles. They don't want to give up easy on you, okay? You have been a body as a vessel they have been using to get you trapped, because it is some kind of fuel. When you're trapped in these demonic cycles, these demons have been using these things to trap you, to harvest your energy, and to render you useless. So basically what really happens is that when you are now trying to break these cycles, those cycles are going to hold on to you for dear life. So when you know that you're about to break a cycle is when you're going to experience that cycle is going to hit you the hardest. Because remember, for the longest period of time you've been involved in that cycle, you have been in some kind of an energetic loop. So it has been a flow of energy, okay, through the drug addictions, alcohol, maybe it was a sex addiction or stuff like that. It has been a cycle you've been involved with, and it has been harvesting your energy. These demons have been harvesting your energy. So when you're trying to break away from these cycles, that is when they're going to hit you the hardest. So when you ever see, you could have been an alcoholic who has been using alcohol, drugs for a very long period of time. You are now starting to come to the end of the cycle. You started getting some help. There's somebody helping you in the local facility, local community, whatever. You are going to be hit the hardest. Is when you're going to see all these people coming at you. Let us go to smoke something. Why did you leave us behind? We miss you. Come and join us and stuff like that. All of them are going to come out of the woodwork. Even sometimes you're going to meet people you have not seen before. And you're going to see those people because now the universe is showing you the reflection of the energy that you've been involved with. Like I've told you, when I was living with the narcissist, I started seeing these Jezebels coming out of the closet, strangers and stuff like that. They always wanted to come and get entangled with me and stuff like that. But because I was aware of it, so I was able to refuse and stop it. So it's going to be the same thing when you are breaking a cycle, depending on what cycle you're trying to break. That similar energy is going to start coming very hard at you. You're going to be challenged. You're going to find it very difficult. Everybody is going to be wanting to take you back to that same loop that you've been involved with. Those are the demons they are sending your way to bring you back so that you can get trapped in the cycle. If you're able to resist and say no, to stand your ground, that is where you're going to be tested by the universe. So sometimes you may reach a breaking point whereby you're going to feel like your whole body is shutting down, okay? You no longer have the energy to move on. You're going to feel like you have a lot of weight on your shoulders. That is the exact moment you know you are very close to breaking out of that cycle, but These demonic cycles don't want you to go. At least they don't want you to go easy. Sometimes you may even be attacked with different types of illnesses. You may get sometimes sicknesses and stuff like that. You may be running in and out of hospital because you're trying to break something. It has been a pattern. It has been a loop that has been happening for so many years. And because your system has gotten so accustomed to that cycle, the cycle don't want to leave you easy. So you are being attacked the most in that particular time. And that is where you're going to need a lot of energy to resist and to say no is a no. I'm refusing to date. I'm refusing to smoke. I'm refusing to drink. I'm refusing to go having sex or whatever it is you've been doing is going to hit you the hardest. In those particular weeks or months where you're trying to break out of it, it's going to hit you the hardest. So that is when you know you're coming to the end of breaking that cycle. So it is going to depend on your strength. Everybody has got a different strength. Some people are not stronger than the other ones. Sometimes you might even be forced, or sometimes you may be tricked into falling back into those patterns, where you may sometimes run into somebody who may trick you with that same thing that you've been trying to run away from. So normally those are little tests from the universe. The universe wants to see your strength. Okay, come on, let's go do this, or let's go smoke. Let us go and drink one beer. One beer won't hurt you. I know you've been away from alcohol for 2 or 3 years. Come on, let us go just have one beer won't hurt you. And sometimes it's the devil that is tricking you, that you can go back and start getting that, that kick off from that beer or whatever, from that alcohol, from drugs or stuff like that. So when you are finding yourself in a situation whereby you kind of feel like you're falling back into old patterns, the patterns that you're trying to run away from, the ones that you know that were not serving you, then that is when you know that you're close to break out of a cycle, where the universe is reflecting back to you that energy you've been trying to run away from. Resistance is going to be key. Putting your foot on the ground and refusing the temptation to go back and fall into old patterns. It is how you know that you're breaking out of a cycle. You are very close to break completely free from that cycle. So let us know in the video what you think. Like the page, share, and subscribe. Let us know if these kind of scenarios have happened to you. You guys know I do love and appreciate your support. Please book a session if you want to. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I'll catch you guys in my next one. Denzomos signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.